So next, I'm going to hand over to what I think is a pre-recorded conversation with Robin Lewis, who's founder, CEO of the Robin Report. He's someone who has a lot more time in the industry than I do, and someone who perhaps has even stronger held opinions than mine as a result. He's talking to David Katz, who is EVP and CMO for Randa Apparel and Accessories. I'm excited to see what the two of them have to say about how to blend the art and the science of emerging technology and what that all means for the industry.
Well, welcome everybody. And I'm honored to be here with a good friend and colleague of mine, David Katz, who is the Chief Marketing Officer for Randa. And you'll hear a little more about Randa as soon as David gets with us. But I'm also honored to be able to be a part of the Tech Fest event that Alvanon is coordinating. And you will be hearing from a lot of people. And the subjects are very interesting and frankly, very educational. I think what Alvanon brings to the industry is a ton of knowledge about sizing, about fit, and things that every retailer and brand in this industry should begin to understand. Anyway, so David, hello again.
Hi, Robin.
And you and I have many, many conversations over the years about the direction of the industry. And as far as I'm concerned, you're one of the smartest guys I know in the industry. And so once again, I am looking forward to our hopefully very energetic discussion and also full of knowledge. So David, we do these things all the time, but to start with, there are probably a lot of people in the audience who may know of Randa, but they may not have a clue regarding Randa's size, the importance in the industry, and the many incredible brands you represent. So can you start us off with a quick overview of Randa and then your role as well?
Happy to do so, Robin. First, I am honored and thrilled to be here. I always enjoy our conversations. I think that your breadth of knowledge about the industry is extraordinary, and I always learn something when we have a discussion. So I hope that our listeners and audience will also learn something. It should be great. Most of our listeners probably do not recognize Randa Apparel and Accessories as a name. So many of them do, but most probably don't. However, as they tune in, nearly all of our audience has our products on their bodies or in their closets right now. Primarily, we have three consumer-facing businesses. Our Randa Accessories business, which dates back 113 years, is the largest men's accessories company and one of the fastest growing and large women's accessories companies in the world. We make belts and wallets and headwear and slippers, neckwear, which is our origin. We started as a tie company 113 years ago, under brands including Calvin Klein and Levi Strauss, Cole Haan, Williamson Dickies, Tommy Hilfiger, and 25 others. And we do that worldwide in most cases. We recently acquired the Hager Clothing Company, and Hager is a tailored clothing, dress pant, and casual pant brand that's expanding rapidly into lifestyle products as well. And Hager is about a quarter of the non-denim pant business in North America. So huge scale. And we also own the Tribal fashion business. Tribal Sportswear and Tribal Fashion make women's sportswear. And it's different than our other two businesses. It's distributed through 2,500 women's independent specialty stores across the United States and Canada. That's a road sales force, Robin, that like trunk shows, they go door to door, they call on all these kind of smaller accounts, very different kind of business. And we're pretty vertical and we're pretty broad. We're the #1 supplier of our products at Nordstrom, but also at Saks and Macy's and Kohl's, Target, Walmart, Amazon.com, Costco, Ross Stores, Marshall's, Tractor Supply, and so on, based on the brand or the product classification. And we do this internationally. So we are also the leader in our categories at Hudson's Bay in Canada or Liverpool in Mexico, Marks and Spencer and Primark in the UK, or Myer and David Jones in Australia, et cetera. And we have boots on the ground, sales forces, distribution centers in all those locations, as well as South Africa and some others. So that's kind of an overview. And my job, I'm Chief Marketing Officer, and I'm also Executive Vice President at the company. I've been with the company over 15 years. I've seen it grow quite dramatically through acquisitions and organically. And my role is marketing and consumer facing, brand marketing and trade marketing, but it's also strategy. And on the strategy level, looking at changes in the industry, how consumers migrate across the patterns of purchase, the retailers they buy, the products they buy, and making sure we have the right products and services to meet their needs going forward into the future for the next 100 years.
Well, boy, you know, David, you're very, the best kept secret is that you guys are still a private company. And there are very few companies that your size that are not, you know, public.
Well, it was the best kept secret until this show. Now everyone's going to know. So
yeah, that's good.
And we do sell over 100 million units of product a year. So we've got some interesting scale as we approach this discussion.
Yeah. And I've often said that fashion companies should not be public because the category is so cyclical that it's very difficult to deal with Wall Street and all the things that, you know, publicly owned companies have to do. So it gives you guys kind of an advantage in a way. So anyway, on a macro level, David, tell us a little bit about what using technology means for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really broad question for us. You know, you and I have had conversations about the history of shopping, right, going back 100, 200 years, and how, you know, in my mind, it's always been aligned with technology and consumer needs. I mean, you've written about the fact that Wells Fargo, when they had their horse-drawn carriage, was part of the innovation of the Sears Dream Book in 1910, being able to deliver products across the country, right? And the first UPC code came out of the fact that NCR and IBM had a cash register and a scanner developed. And in 1974, the first scan of a UPC code was a Wrigley Juicy Fruit gum pack. And look what that's done in terms of speeding a customer's convenience through checkout, but also allowing a retailer to track inventory and make sure that the price charged to the customer is correct. So listen, the world's changing. Consumer needs are changing. Technology obviously is rapidly accelerating, and we can't navigate a new landscape with old maps or old tools. When technology serves our customers' needs, at Randa, we invest pretty heavily. And by customers, I'm talking about both wholesale B2B customers, our trade customers and retail partners, and consumers. I think our focus on technology is to be faster, make better products, make them less expensive, make them a better value for customers, and reduce friction. And we try not to get distracted from that kind of focus. A lot of that is about speed to market and efficiency and productivity. And so that's where we really focus. I mean, I'll give you a couple of examples. We are pretty advanced in our PLM program, right? The lifestyle management of product development, and how our design teams, our factories, our partners for brands and retailers can all align in one version of truth, seeing the product development process and the specs. Inventory planning and logistics. When you're selling 100 million units a year or more, making that inventory flow effectively through the system to the consumer when they need it, and not having backlogs or shortages is critical, and technology has definitely helped us there. Our tribal business, as I described, sells 2,500 independent stores. And although we have a kind of sales force that goes out and does trunk shows, a lot of that today is done in business-to-business platforms like New Order and some of the others, where we can communicate directly with those store owners on assortment and details, inventory flow, and assortment planning. We have over 100 of our own W-2 employees who do in-store merchandising and servicing, and technology makes sure they're in the right store. We visit over 1,000 stores a week. We also contract with outside parties to visit another 5,000 stores each week. Making sure that they're in the right stores at the right time when the inventory is hitting and it's turning fast. Technology helps us a lot there. And then based on our scale, 100 plus million units a year, the data analytics of our own data and our own flow, who's buying what, when, and where, becomes a technology opportunity and challenge for us. Mm-hmm. And our distribution centers and our factories. I mentioned that we're broad and we're also vertical. We own the biggest belt factory in the world. We have controlling interests there. It's in Guatemala. They make 15 million belts there a year, which we sell to other companies in addition to using them ourselves. We use a lot of factory management software, but we also are building another distribution center for our apparel businesses in the United States, and warehouse management systems, robotics, auto baggers that automatically bag the product for direct-to-consumer shipments. We're looking at AutoStore, which is a dense computer robotic system that moves inventory through warehouses very efficiently. Drones scan our inventory and scan cartons so that we can make sure our inventory control is correct.
That's interesting.
Sustainability, lights go on and off. Robots don't need lights, but humans do. So when they walk into certain areas and certain timing, temperature control, all of those things are using pretty advanced technology. But if I had to pick one thing that probably gives us the very best return on investment in technology, it would be our vendor managed inventory program, which we have now customized ourselves. We look at the sales of our products in thousands of stores every week because we're tied into cash registers. And we see the sales of those products and we replenish our product and change the assortment of inventory on a door level based on analytics and algorithms, sort of AI, it's really more machine learning, where we give it a dozen or so algorithms and our software optimizes what product should be in what store on what day. And that basically makes a much faster turn of inventory for our retail partners and make sure customers have exactly what they need. So that's some of the uses of our technology.
Well, David, the big point you make, which is great, your use of technology will follow what will benefit the consumer at the end of the day. And it reminds me of a discussion I had with Blake Nordstrom a couple of years ago. He said, Rob, we get these tech companies that probably one a week that are coming in to sell us some software or whatever. And he said, I tell my people, if they can't tell you what the benefit of their new solution or whatever it is, what the benefit is going to be for the consumer in about 2 sentences, then stop listening to them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Marketing 101 hasn't changed, but the tools, the technology has changed enormously but they're really just tools. Anyway, so, when it comes to developing apparel lines, David, do you create digital samples, physical models? What exactly is the process from consumer research to design and then all the way to product development?
Yeah, no, that's a great and a question and an evolving answer. I think for us, there are probably 3 primary goals along those lines. One is speed, right? Speed to market for both our wholesale trade and our consumers to respond to their needs and fashion trends. The second goal is to reduce costs. The cost of creating physical samples and the cost of airfare and moving those samples around is really expensive.
Yeah, I know.
And takes time. And finally, sustainability. It's not a very sustainable process to be making tens of thousands of samples, moving them around, only to change them and update them, and based on a series of samples that we receive. So we are using a series of digital tools in 3D sampling, 3D renders, digital flats, laydowns, physical, and those complement physical samples. They don't eliminate them, but they certainly reduce the number of physical samples we need and speed up the timing. And we also, listen, let's face it, during COVID, when we were working remotely and we weren't at our factories and we didn't have as much physical interaction with our customers, we were forced to increase the use of certain digital tools in 3D tech, and we got pretty proficient at it. And we can literally have somebody at a factory in Asia or in Europe or in South Africa or in Guatemala show us in real time what they're working on products with enough detail that we can make modifications and recommendations and reviews of those in real time. And then we have the 3D CADs and the rotating models and some of the PLM services that we use. So it's certainly getting better, but it is a supplement, not a full replacement for die dips and hand looms and swatches and physical interaction, which is still, when you're in the apparel and accessories business, there's a hand feel and certain details you still need to see in person. And depending upon time, how much time we have and what our retail partners, brand partners, and customers need, the size of the collection we're developing, digital tools could be 100% of the development process. And then we go right into production. But more often than not, they're complementing some version of physical samples. I would tell you that our brand partners, when we're developing for, let's say, a Levi's or a Calvin Klein or a Tommy Hilfiger or Dickies or Cole Haan, et cetera, they're pretty receptive to using digital samples. But our retail buyers and divisionals like to physically touch them. So the majority of our retail partners still want to see a physical sample. So that's part of it. And we need to serve all parties.
Got it. Got it. And, you know, sizing and fit and so forth is kind of out of my wheelhouse. But I did learn that sizing and fit are two different things. So how does Randa, and particularly Hager, determine fit?
Well, first,
and how do you define
tell me the difference between sizing and fit, so I know, because I'm a little adjacent to this as well.
Well, yes. So how do you define it, and what tools do you use to determine?
Sure. Yeah.
Fit?
In addition to the businesses I mentioned, we're early stage investors in several digital first companies. So we're an early investor in Not Standard. Not Standard with a K makes bespoke tailored clothing on demand. So this is truly like a suit for men that's being made digitally. You give us your specs and your size and your fit information. We then use in Central America these very high-tech cutting and development tools, custom make the suit, send it to you, and a week or so after you place your order, you have this custom built bespoke. So fit and sizing is critical.
Wow, incredible.
They've created some of their algorithms. We're also an early stage investor in Stant, STANTT. Stant makes custom made personalized dress shirts. And again, you feed us your fit and your size. We have a couple of algorithms and tools digitally that help you. And then within a week, you have these custom-made shirts that fit you perfectly. Now, both companies use a lot of digital technology, right, to determine this. They also have showrooms in a lot of key cities where you can try things on. And those are purpose-built online fit and size tools with algorithms, right, that kind of work. And so that's the cutting, no pun intended, but maybe a little pun, cutting edge of our fit kind of process. But for the core of our business, we've got over 100 years of experience and billions of units sold, and we have the data on those. And the historical data of fit and size by product class, brand, geography, channel of distribution has been the most useful information we have for fit. Now, that's a look backwards, not a look forwards, but we're watching, as I talked about our vendor managed inventory, we're watching sizes as they change on a store level in thousands and thousands of stores each week. And we can try to predict a bit of what fits are going to be best at those stores. Online, certainly fit is one of the largest reasons for returns that we receive from customers. So it's critical to get those right, but we tend to use the data that we have to use fit modeling. It's a big challenge to create fit models for consumers so that they have greater comfort in buying the right sizes and fit and returning fewer items. So certainly that's one of the challenges. And we've used 3D imaging for fit on the development side. And we have not found that as accurate as our internal data so far. We keep trying, but our human technicians and guided measurement tools have been more effective. Now, we do use things like TrueFit and some of the online comparative tools. So those, Robin, are things where if you wear this in J. Crew, and if you wear this in Athleta, and if you wear this in Ralph Lauren or Calvin Klein or Levi's, you're likely to wear this size. But, limited. That's more crowdsourced kind of feedback. And we listen to reviews. When you're selling hundreds of thousands of units online, you can also say, oh, look, 3% of the customers said this is too large, or 4% said it's too, and then we modify that way. So that's kind of the way our size modeling is done today.
Interesting that you have so much data that you can really, decide fit and sizing based on your particular history. So that's very interesting.
We can certainly get better at it.
Yeah. So, as you, work across the kind of life cycle, of garments, of apparel, from design and development to e-tail, so to speak, where have you seen technology? And you did mention 3D tech. Where do you see technology playing kind of the biggest role in that cycle?
Certainly 3D is playing a more prominent role in our processes, both in development and offering product to consumers. Advances and upgrades to our product management systems, the PLO systems and other tools, actually play a larger role today. We are constantly experimenting, though. We are big in test, measure, optimize. I hate the expression fail fast. We'd rather succeed fast, but we're perfectly willing to experiment. And we're looking to expand the use of machine learning and artificial intelligence in this area to build our collections, assortments, colors, patterns, and fit trends. We're working hard on that. With the scale of the number of units and styles we develop would make us so much more efficient and productive if we could get those tools to do this. But right now, they're not as helpful as human beings who are particularly skilled technicians. But we're getting there. Supply chain tools, though, are also critical. And this is about inventory levels, capacity planning, production tracking, compliance issues. That's where a lot of technology and even 3D monitoring has helped us. We even use, Robin, for one of our retail partners who has, I won't name them, but they have roughly 1,800 stores. So you can do the math on that. They're really good at using 3D files that we create in CADs to create what our products would look like in planograms in their fixtures in their stores. We get sign off on the 3D planogram, and then their teams optimize the placement of that on shelves and mannequins. And then our visual merchandisers go into the stores to make sure that they're being replenished and that the planograms are being used properly and stocked. And so the use of technology there is really kind of interesting. And 3D rendering of the product in a store fixture, and there are probably 20 different layouts, that's been really helpful. So we've been watching that. So I would, and I mentioned our vendor managed inventory programs. I mean, those are things where the technology is helping us for design to product development to e-commerce to consumers all the way through.
So where do you think technology may have hurt the total supply chain process from beginning to end, rather than helped, or a project maybe that went south? And importantly, what were some of the learnings that you guys get from, say, failure of a project?
Well, and that's a wonderful challenge, right? Which is, failure tends to be ignored and not passed on, and it's really important to learn from the failures. We've had some. We've spent a lot of time on optimization, productivity, efficiency, using technology that has failed. It just didn't do it, and we relied on it, and it cost us millions of dollars. But more importantly, and from my perspective, we've used technology to optimize and make things more efficient when it turned out we didn't need to optimize or make it more efficient. It was something we just didn't have to do. Peter Drucker has this famous quote of, "Nothing is so useless as doing efficiently that which shouldn't have been done at all." Right. And there are times that we've spent a lot of time using technology to be more efficient at something that just didn't need to be done. It was a process that it's a legacy process that no longer needs to be done. The other challenge is it's easy to get sucked into what I call SOS. And SOS for me is shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
Chasing the metaverse, chasing color calibration tools for our neckwear, drone deliveries, mall robots, voice ordering over automated systems. It's very easy to get sucked into those things and go down the rabbit hole. Those have not been particularly useful for us. We take a investment and strategy position of something that I've nicknamed moats, boats, and bridges. And you and I have talked a little bit about this. Moats protect the core and create competitive barriers to entry. Bridges take us to adjacencies to our current business models and skill sets, right? And boats are transformational. They transform the company. We use that for technology too. So the majority of our tech investments are focused on what will protect our core large market-leading businesses and create competitive barriers to entry. Bridges is the next amount we spend, and that's for reaching into adjacent skills, adjacent products, brands, consumer segments. And then we've got investments in kind of future transformational models that could totally change our company. We look at that as investments in technology and how it works, and these rotate. Today's boats or bridges might be, I mean, we started, our moat was the neckwear business, and we dominated in men's neckwear through North America. Today, it's still a big part of our business, but it's much smaller. It's not in the top 5 products or distributions or manufacturing that we make. We have products like belts that have become larger, or men's pants, right? Or customer segments have changed so dramatically. So today's boats and bridges are tomorrow's moats for us, and we look at that in technology investments.
I love the moats and bridges metaphor. I think that's so spot on.
Yeah, thank you.
And, you know, we talked about this before as well, with the exception of you and some others that I know. A lot of the people in the C-suites are older and didn't grow up in the technology era, and a lot of them simply are naive about technology. And as you say, SOS is a big danger in that respect, where you've got C-level people who see a shiny object and they're going for it instead of, as you pointed out.
Remember the magic mirrors, Robin, where you could go in?
Magic what?
Magic mirrors. You could go in.
Yes.
You try something in and it would change the color and style by just looking at the mirror.
Yes.
Another shiny object, I think. or a technology ahead of its time. It might be a combination. Yeah.
So, all right. So, well, you mentioned a few things, but what are some of the new innovations in technology that excite you, for example? And what do you wish existed that could bring fashion forward as an industry? You know, everybody has AI in focus as the next big thing or shiny object, I guess, in every aspect of commerce. So anyway, what are your thoughts on that and how it might be used? To start with the concept, because you mentioned it last, of artificial intelligence, I'm not sure that it's a shiny object. Right. Let's kind of acknowledge 3 things in play here with AI. Number one, these are early days for generative AI. Yep. You know, a lot of people are looking at generalized artificial general intelligence, but you know, we're not there yet. We're still in generative AI. Embryonic. And it's early. Number 2, the hype about AI, and you're closer to this than I am, is almost unprecedented. This is even beyond what the metaverse was, which I do think was a shiny object. Yep. But the difference here in number 3, in this case, that hype might be genuine. I think that generative AI's impact could be revolutionary in, our industry as well as others. Arthur C. Clarke, who wrote 2001 and The Sentinel, once said that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And generative AI, like search engines and telephones and the internet and locomotives, allows us to do things with levels of efficiency that's so profound, it seems like magic. And I think there's something there. We're starting to roll out generative AI to most of our associates, including ChatGPT and Bing and Bard and DALL-E and Midjourney. The last 2 are kind of image creation tools.
But we're giving them guide rails. Here's what not to do. Here's what to watch out for. Here's how to use it. There are warnings about usage. We're establishing a governance committee to oversee a data center of excellence, which includes AI applications. It could improve inventory planning and distribution. It might make our VMI program, where right now we're analyzing 12 or so variables and creating algorithms. This might be able to look at hundreds or thousands of variables and make us even more efficient.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's one thing we're looking at. You asked what inspires me. What do I look for? Getting closer to consumers and understanding their evolutionary needs, or their needs that evolve, is one of our highest priorities. And technology, including AI and 3D tech, are tools that are going to help us get there. And I mentioned our data center of excellence. That'll include a new customer data platform that collects hundreds of millions, if not billions, of pieces of data, and it makes it accessible and usable for us. Artificial intelligence tools, new data scientists, and people who will manage that process. Online retargeting, customer acquisition, optimizing. We do a lot of connected television, direct-to-consumer connected TV for brand awareness and traffic generation. We use influencers and figuring out which influencers should be promoting our products in which ways, and then for which customer segments. I think technology is going to help us with a lot of those. But I do put a personal spin. My background happens to be neuroscience, believe it or not, and you and I have talked about that.
Oh, yes,
so,
yes.
Yeah, so
I always forget that.
Yeah, sometimes I do too. But that spin tells me that sometimes we put too much reliance on data science versus brain science. Data science tends to say consumers are going to behave rationally, and this is what you should do. But consumers don't behave rationally. Carl Jung once said, people are not rational, but they are rationalizing. They can always justify or explain why they did something, even if it doesn't make any sense, like fear of missing out or, loss aversion, as Daniel Kahneman would call it. They're not rational, but they are predictable in their irrationality. And I think that we need to take human skills with our insights to understand what motivates people to do things, and then use technology to help us leverage that knowledge to customers. So I don't want to be too reliant on pure data. But I do think that technology is going to let us, in some ways, return to where retailing was 100, 150, 200 years ago. When you walked into your local merchant, knew you and knew your family and knew there was a new baby at the home or visitors, and that you would need a different product or different clothes or sundries in your house at that time. I think we return to that personalized knowledge in some ways. But so those are some of the things I kind of look forward to.
That's one of the most exciting conversations I had with you, David, a while ago. And that is this idea of going back 150 years or however long. Once again, it's the neighborhood store. And I have been saying with the catalyst of technology, we are able to get closer and closer. Commerce is able to get closer and closer and closer to the consumer. And it's not just the smartphone. It is physically being able to identify neighborhoods or areas where you have, customers. And, as you say, AI, it can probably play a major role in all that. I love the fact you're bringing neuroscience into this, because that, pretty much connects with AI and generative AI. The human brain and how it's used can augment generative AI.
Or the other way around.
Yeah, or the other way around.
Yeah.
No, I think that's terrific. So, this is a very good conversation. But like innovation, how do you define innovation, and what technology advancements or breakthroughs do you anticipate in the near future? I mean, you did talk about AI and many of the things going forward, but which ones do you want that haven't been created yet?
So, really good questions. Let me take that in two parts: the
Okay.
innovation and what would I like to see technology do in the future. On innovation, I define innovation as innovation equals invention plus invoices. To me, it's not innovative if it doesn't generate profit. We're a for-profit company, so our innovation is not focused on general, let's create something whiz bang and new and wow, et cetera. It's got to generate more profit and ultimately better product and service. So innovation is defined as invention plus invoices. Ultimately, I'd like to see technology help our associates provide products and services that are going to delight our consumers and our trade partners and cause them to open their wallets, Randa wallets, of course, but they're going to open their wallets, be incredibly satisfied, and come back for more, right? So I want technology doing that. I want technology to allow our associates to work more productively with less effort and greater enjoyment in their jobs so that they can advance their careers. I want technology to amplify and share our associates' very diverse and becoming more diverse voices and communicate their genuine thinking and ideas in a way that they can be kind of productively used by a larger group of people. It's hard to do that right now. We have offices in lots of locations. We have lots of different areas of responsibility and divisions. I want those voices to be heard and those great ideas to be surfaced and to be communicated in a very powerful way. I want technology that's going to help us create a safer, healthier, kinder, and more sustainable environment for our associates, our vendors, our factory workers, partners, consumers, and everybody else who shares this delicate planet that we live on. That's not much to ask for, right? But that's my list.
Other than that, it's a perfect world. No, David, that's a stunning comments. Those are stunning comments that you made, and truly from a great leader. I think our viewers are going to have learned an awful lot. Do you have kind of a vision for the future of fashion? I mean, you really came, you really talked about a lot of things that will occur in the future. We know AI is just in the embryonic stages. And this whole idea of getting closer to the consumer, I think, has got to be part of the future. But I don't know, is there another big kind of vision that you have and you can share?
Regardless of geopolitics
yeah.
and climate change and economic conditions and consumer trends, I'm highly confident that in the future, people are going to continue to wear apparel and they're going to continue to use accessories. And so therefore, our company, Randa Apparel and Accessories, and our industry are in a really good place. Customers are going to continue to want our products.
Yep.
We have to make them more relevant. We have to make them more convenient, reduce friction to make it easier for them. We have to get the sizing right. We have to be sensitive to sustainable issues. We have to be sensitive to the price that people are going to pay for our products and to where they buy them. Are they buying them direct? I do not think that the future is 100% direct to consumer e-commerce. I don't think it's 100% mortar and brick. I think there's going to be a blend of those. I think we're pretty close to the ratios that we're going to see in the near future now. And you and I have talked a lot about what were supposed to be revolutions that would upset mortar and brick retail. Our audience may not remember this, but catalog showrooms, service merchandise and best products were going to revolutionize, right? You'd go in and do that. Home shopping, TV shopping was going to, right? HSN, QVC, that's it. No more mortar and brick. Metaverse and, lots of other things were going to disrupt it. At the end of the day, consumers interact with products and people in stores. And there's a social aspect to this. There's the nature of touching a product and feeling it and trying it on. Beyond fit, it's also just about enjoyment. And some people just love the process of shopping and talking to people in stores and sharing with their friends. Now, social media allows them to share in new ways. Hey, I'm in a dressing room right now at Bloomingdale's. What do you think of this? And their friends weigh in before them. That's great. But that's all part of the nature of the social aspects of shopping. And I think those are going to be there too. But overall, I'm really excited and I feel really positive. I think that the best is yet to come.
Well, you've inspired me. I have always said that I am so happy to be simply an observer of the industry, as the Robin Report that I founded 20 years ago. Anyway, I'm glad that's all I have to do. If I had to be a CEO of one of these big retailers or brands, would be a tough thing to do. And I think you've done it very well. And I'm honored that to have this discussion with you, which I'm sure we will have many times over in the future coming up. So thank you, David, very much.
And thank you, Robin. Always a great conversation. And I am an avid follower, as I have been for many, many years, of the Robin Report. You may not be a CEO of a brand or a retailer, but you influence all of them, or most.
Thank you.
So we appreciate your knowledge and feedback and insights as to what's going to be happening today and in the future. It's been great. And it's been great to be part of this program. So thank you for inviting me.
Yep.
Perfect. There's some really good insights there from Robin and from David. I'm going to give you some really brief takeaways to this one before we hand over to our next session. So for me, the key things are that from David speaking, is just how much innovation goes unseen. When you have big storied companies that are behind the scenes and part of the infrastructure of fashion, you don't realize just how innovative they might be and how they're categorizing innovation. It's important to realize how technology follows the consumer. That was something David said. And I think it's literal in terms of personalization, but also figurative in terms of expectations, consumer expectations, and how they're driving capabilities. And it's interesting to see his comments on how maybe the wholesale and the retail sector, the B2B side of things, is maybe lagging behind a bit in that respect. And consumers are maybe more technologically advanced sometimes than the retailers themselves might be in some of those B2B relationships.